Thank you, John, and thank you, growers, not just for being here today, but it's feedback from growers, it's understanding better your needs, the direction that you want to go, that helps us set the direction for the industry. And as John said, we are talking, and we will talk throughout the presentation as the industry, because we believe that actually an integrated industry looking across the whole value chain is what the direction we need to take. I'm going to take you through the 5-year plan, which is the 3 strategic objectives which lead up to the strategy to maximise grower value over the long term. We've put the 3 strategic objectives here, and I'll take you through each one in terms of the activities within the strategic objective and the goals we've set over 5 years. The first one being to produce a consistent and sustainable supply of avocados to meet consumer needs. The second one, to maximise long-term value by a disciplined approach to market development and retention. And the third, to ensure a strong representative industry structure to support growth in a profitable avocado industry. A consistent and sustainable supply to meet the needs of the consumer. Really important to understand that we're not just producing a commodity product, we're producing a product that consumers want to eat, and we need to always ensure that we do understand the needs of those consumers. And a consistent supply, we all know that we do need to find solutions or mitigations to irregular bearing. And in that we've got a pruning trial, which we've had the first year of, looking at 13 orchards and 3 different pruning methods and 3 different age of trees, and trying to better understand how pruning can help to mitigate irregular bearing. We're also involved in the Avocado Research Consortium, the ARC project, an international consortium of scientists, experts in tree phenology, trying to understand what it is in the tree that actually causes that irregular bearing. We've also got a small trial on pollination, looking at how bumblebees might help in an off year to increase the pollination. We also need to benchmark our yield and orchard gate return per hectare. We need to know where we are now to be able to measure where we're going. And we need to seek ways to support growers in terms of improving their pack out and their yield, and also their quality. And quality is interesting. We've tended to talk about quality being just the quality of the fruit in the orchard, but the quality strategy is right across the value chain. Yes, we absolutely need fantastic quality of fruit, but we need quality systems. We need quality research. We need quality information. We need to understand what consumer demands are doing, what market capability is, so we've got quality information to help direct us in terms of what we're producing for those consumers. So that quality strategy you'll see coming out more in terms of a strategy right across the value chain. And our goals under the strategic objective, we want to see a reduction in the impact of irregular bearing from an on year to an off year, down to a 30% difference by 2017, as compared to a 3 million tray to 6 million tray year on year that we've just been through. We also want to support growers in terms of how they do attain higher yields and pack outs. We do need to have that support material available and field days available, and also to support growers teaching each other what they might need to do in an orchard to improve their yields and pack outs. The second strategic objective, to develop and maintain markets. It's about gaining and retaining market access. We need to gain market access, phytosanitary access into China and India as 2 markets we've identified for the volumes of fruit we're expecting out of New Zealand orchards, and I'll cover off our volume forecasts in a few later slides. So we need to work with the government It is a government-to-government relationship in terms of that access, and we need to push and raise the visibility of the industry so that they're very aware of the need for the avocado industry to have access into China and India. And we need to retain the market access we currently have. It's very important that we have a spray diary, a pesticide regime, a biosecurity plan so that we do maintain market access. The Mexicans had a real risk last year putting their fruit into Japan with some residue issues that could well have closed that market for them. We really have to make sure that as an industry we work to retain that market access. We need to do research both on the best channels to market. We need to understand what the structure of the industry is in each country, and we know the structure for importing avocados will be very different in Japan versus Australia versus the US versus a Korea or a Malaysia. And we need to understand that market structure and identify the best ways, best channels to market for our avocados. And not only are the market structures different, but consumer demand and preference are different in each market. And we need to better understand those and ensure that we put strategies in place to meet those consumer needs. I was in China recently, and I found out that the Chinese don't eat salads and they don't really eat sushi, and it's not really a guacamole nation. The three ways we mostly eat avocados across the world. But the Chinese love colour in their food and they eat for health. So obviously those are two things we need to work on and ensure are in our programs when we look at consumer demand and preferences. There's also there's still a partial one-child policy in China, and the child is incredibly important throughout Southeast Asia. So that's another channel we need to look at. So it's all about having these strategies targeted to meet those consumer needs across the different countries. And all of our market development and promotion needs to be targeted, it needs to be focused, it needs to deliver. We need to set the deliverables in terms of that grower funding going on promotion and market development. The last bullet point, driving value in the New Zealand market. It comes up at most road shows that there's the issues, particularly this time of year, of poor quality fruit in the market. What are we doing about it? What can we do about it? We do recognise that the value of the New Zealand market, the category value, sits at about 17 to 19 million on an off year or on an on year. And we need to find strategies that actually help to drive the value in the New Zealand market. Because as volumes go up, there's going to be more fruit available in the New Zealand market. This slide's looking at new market development, and we've put this together. Across the top are the steps we believe need to be taken to get market penetration. So we need to have market access, we need to have market research, both in terms of the market and the consumer. We need to raise visibility for the versatility of avocados. We need very good education along the supply chain in terms of handling and ripening avocados to allow us to have market penetration. All of this requires quality information and quality relationships, and we need to set those up, maintaining and developing and maintaining those relationships. We also need to, and I've got the arrow going the other way here, we need the signals about consumer and market preference going from the market back to the growers, so we understand the requirements of the consumer. Down the left-hand side are the new markets, and this is the priority order given by AVEC, the Exporter Council. Australia and US would be considered developed markets. And what we want to see over 5 years is large ticks and all the boxes across this new development table. And we'll use this to update growers to say, are we developing enough markets as an industry, not AGA, but as an industry to cope with, to ensure that there are market export destinations for all the volume of New Zealand fruit. I really believe collaboration is an essential element of the way we go forward. Between AGA and AVEC, we've got to have better sharing of data and knowledge. We've seen a change in AVEC, the Exporter Council, over the last few months. It has incorporated, or is looking to it has incorporated, so it can set some rules. It's taken responsibility as a whole group of exporters. So you've got AVEC as the group of exporters, you've got individual groupings of exporters, and you've got the individual exporters. And we'll be working with all of those to share information and knowledge, and to make sure we can come back to growers and say, this is the progress we are making, we as the industry. We'll put together each year, several times, an industry plan, which is the volume by market and over time by time. We've put together the first industry plan. Since then, the Australian situation changed markedly. Woolworths are only taking fruit from one New Zealand exporter. Coles haven't decided yet how many exporters they will be dealing with in the 2012-13 season. So we'll put another industry plan together over the next 3 or 4 days, hopefully, and talk about that at the AVEC meeting next week, and then report that back to growers. Exporters are required under the export marketing strategy to produce a 5-year plan by the 30th of June, and we will consolidate that and have an industry 5-year plan, again going back to exporters, say this is the consolidated view from all exporters. Is it, number one, feasible? Number one, is it going to deliver what we need it to deliver? That's all about getting the information together and saying, longer term, are we set up to deliver value and profitability going forward? One of the things exporters have talked about in terms of the new markets is, can we have some generic local language collateral? So is there something we can have on the New Zealand brand that is in Korean, Malaysian, Japanese, that is either marketing collateral they can use, or perhaps a DVD on handling avocados, but in local language? And that's something we're looking at from the grower funding, promotion funding.